We are now in August, and that means, traditionally at least, the auto industry likes to take a little breathing moment for the summer. And while there are still plenty of news stories to cover, check out our Weekend News Roundup show, aka TEN, if you haven't watched it yet. Automakers tend to hold off big reveals until next month, when we catapult headlong into the autumnal auto show season with IAA in Munich and the Detroit Auto Show. We are also just a few weeks away from Transport Evolve's official founding as a US company in 2015, following my family's emigration here, and then Kate Walton Elliott's family emigrated a few months later. And we're also coming up on 13 years since Transport Evolved was officially founded, not to mention about 15 since I started covering this industry in earnest. So today, taking advantage of all of those things, I'm going to share some of my favourite things about covering the electric car and green energy world, and then shortly thereafter, I'm going to share some of the things I really hate about the industry. But first, a little reminder that if you love what we do here, I would really appreciate it if you consider supporting us with a Patreon membership or a YouTube channel subscription. Because we only work with advertisers and products we actually use and value, we make far less from ad revenue than most channels in the sector, so we rely more heavily on the support of our audience. So follow the link below and help us continue to make great content. Thanks. Don't worry, I did think about singing, but I'm not going to go all Mary Poppins on you in this video. My list of things I love about covering this industry can roughly be split into two different categories, things and people. So let's start with the things, and by the way, they are listed in no particular order. First, I'm going to share my love for the sheer breadth of electrified transportation and clean energy products we now see on the market. From $100,000 electric vehicles to budget electric scooters, the marketplace is now more vibrant than ever before. And while I will acknowledge that the market is by no means as accessible and equitable as I want it to be, it is better than it has been in the past. This translates to more people than ever before getting out and experiencing greener transportation and energy solutions, which in turn helps to raise awareness of them in the mainstream. And that makes me very happy indeed. Next, I want to share how happy I am that we're seeing a massive amount of technological advancement in the industry. In about 15 years, we've gone from electric vehicles that had ranges of under 100 miles, 160 kilometers per charge, often far less than that, to vehicles capable of 2 to 3 times that figure being fairly common, and ones capable of even 4 or 5 times that available for those with enough Benjamins to put down. At the same time, we've seen fast charging really improve. I know we have a long way to go before fast charging is truly reliable, in fact in large parts of the US and Europe. But as recently as 2017, for example, driving from one end of Oregon to the other took me a good day or more, stopping for hours at a time to recharge. Now though, I can get from one end of Oregon to the other in about 6 hours or less. It's brilliant. And I'm talking north to south, not east to west. Talking of brilliant, it is fantastic to be able to try out and see so many new electric vehicle models coming to market, so I can share my thoughts and experiences with you all at home. While I do, from time to time, experience new vehicles that I really cannot stand, and you've seen some of them on the channel, the majority of launch event drives and press loan experiences we have are pretty positive, and I particularly enjoy the driving part of any new car launch. The next thing I really love about this job and covering the EV and clean energy segment is a little more personal. Some of the truly amazing places that I have got to see in the process of doing my job. I've been able to drive coast to coast across the US and experience driving from Portland, Oregon to Texas to Arizona and many places in between. I've driven more electric cars than I ever thought possible in most European countries. I've visited Japan, I've visited India, I've visited Israel, I've been able to visit the Arctic Circle, drive on an ice lake, and see many, many different countries and cultures. That, in turn, has helped me see how different they are and how different cultures approach problems. It's helped me understand that there's no one solution, and it's helped me see that there really is no reason why other countries can't have reliable, fast public train services like Japan's bullet trains, oodles of bike-friendly pathways like much of mainland Europe, or an approach to energy management that emphasises not energy storage, but energy efficiency and stewardship of the planet. And in a connected way, while this is certainly not a love, some of my travel has helped me see firsthand some of the terrible things that we are doing to our pale blue dot. Were it not for EVs, I would not have witnessed California's massive lakes and reservoirs running almost dry. I wouldn't have witnessed firsthand acres and acres of forest fires and seen firsthand the damage that we are causing the planet. It's sobering, but in a weird way, I'm grateful to my job for giving me the chance to experience those things firsthand, as it reminds me why this channel exists and why we do what we do. In happier thoughts, I really also love seeing rare or unusual electric vehicles. I mean, I've seen a Rolls-Royce converted to electric using the entire drivetrain, power electronics, and pretty much everything else from a Tesla. I've seen homemade electric motorcycles, electric cars, and boats that have been built on a budget. And I've witnessed truly clever repurposing and upcycling of equipment and components to give things a new lease of life. And honestly, those things often mean more to me than a brand new shiny $80,000 car I have travelled halfway across the US to a fancy hotel to learn about and drive. Things out of the way. Let's talk about the people. I should probably preface this by noting that I am not a people person. I am an introvert, although I think it might appear something different based on how I present myself on camera. And while I can be extroverted, I really do not like being in large groups of people. But when it comes to press events and launches, one of my favourite things is getting to meet some of the engineers who are bringing these new vehicles to market. They're not always at every event. And sometimes it's just marketing teams with no real interest or knowledge of the actual construction of the car. But whenever I can, I will try and find an engineer to talk to about the vehicle I'm about to experience. And honestly, I really enjoy doing that, because in talking to them, I'll invariably learn something cool and interesting about electric vehicles, nerd out about batteries, or some cool renewable energy tech. In a similar vein, there are a small but awesome group of people within this industry that I love bumping into at events. It's a good time to catch up, find out what everybody's doing, and then plan some mischief. And look, I don't get on with everyone in this sector. I don't think anybody does. There are some folks who I rub up the wrong way, and there are definitely some folks who rub me up the wrong way. But overall, there's generally a good vibe. A similarly small but truly amazing group of people are the part-time tinkerers to full-time engineers who are working in their garages or independent workshops to bring electric vehicles and clean energy technology to more people. Be it a repurposing of an OEM electric vehicle part in third-party DIY conversions, to open-source software hacks of previously proprietary hardware. I love meeting the folks who are making it easier for EVs to continue to exist for years to come, long after they've been abandoned by their respective automakers for some new hotness. Those people They inspire me and give me hope for the future of plug-in vehicles, especially when so many automakers are working hard to make the opposite the case. Finally, I love the people that I meet as part of this job who are EV drivers and green energy advocates. I love meeting people who are driving a knackered 10-year-old Nissan Leaf with a 30-mile range as their daily driver instead of some old smelly petrol or diesel vehicle, or the couple who have had solar panels on the roof of their home for the last 20 years. I love meeting people who have dumped the pump and dumped the pug and use a combination of car share programs, bicycles, and public transit to live a truly lower carbon lifestyle. I love meeting folks who are making their first tentative step into the EV world, often with a used car that they've scrimped and saved to buy. And I love meeting people who support this channel, who put aside $1 or $2 a month to keep us running and independent. And I love hearing your stories about how you've made the switch, how you're planning on making the switch, or how you're learning something new and amazing about cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter vehicles. And that leads me to the last thing. I love learning from you all. What I do wouldn't be possible without you all. So in honesty, the thing I love most about covering this industry is you guys. I've made no secret that amidst all the negativity that comes our way, especially of late, it's the continued support and cheerleading from you that makes the long hours, the low pay, and so much more well worth it. So, yeah, thank you. And if you want to hear my thoughts about the things I hate about this industry, stick around. That video is going to be dropping, and it's going to be very interesting very soon. And on that note, we are done with today's video. If you have comments, drop us a polite note below in the Discord chat room, on Mastodon, or if you're a Patreon supporter, in the comments section there. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell, and follow the links below to regularly support us with a YouTube membership or a Patreon subscription. You'll also find links to our Ko-fi, Bitcoin, and Swag store, as well as that aforementioned Mastodon server. And don't forget, we are now on PeerTube too. Scrolling on my right is the list of amazing charged up supporters, and shout outs go out to our V2G Patreon supporters: Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C, Hay Esker, John Tramal, Carl Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Regine Fellows, Sean Tucker, Stefan Fremgen, Stephen Williams, Taslet and the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Tony Moss, Carl Hodgson, Chris Centaur, Denny Hyde, Lance Schlall, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder, and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters: Paul Conway, Kevin Burridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Burness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hahn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litwin, JP Fagerback, Jave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, Chris and Michael Johnson, Clay Witt, CPU Freak 101, Eric Knack, Joe Bresney, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Dropanek, Nigel S, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin, and of course, Ian. Don't forget that we make videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on the main channel. Plus on a Sunday, you'll find us on Take Two for the Chicken and Garden and Sunday Musing. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you soon, and as always, keep evolving. So I've been thinking lately about some of the other Macs I have in the collection that you don't get to see because bringing them in here would be a bit of a challenge. So I have a Mac, an Apple IIe, that came from the UK all the way here with us and worked just fine until about a year ago when we got the dreaded vertical bars, which indicate there's something wrong, I think, with some of the memory chips, and we tried reseating them all and it's still not working, so I need to save up some pennies and buy a new ROM set, I think, to put in there and see if I can fix it. But we have some 5¼ inch floppy drives that still work, and there's a way of using, there's a website that you can go to where you can download programs for those early Macs and use basically an audio recording and fake the machine into thinking it's connected to a tape deck, and it will load programs. You can also, of course, add Ethernet and other things to it. There's a whole load of things I want to do with that machine. I just never have the time.